All right, folks. So, talking about getting unstuck, right? Well, first, for us to get unstuck, we probably need to talk a little bit about ways that we can be stuck, all right? And again, almost nothing when it comes to these topics of motivation, personal development, success, or what have you, they are very rarely will these ever be completely exhaustive lists, okay? Because there are so many things in the human experience that can affect us for good or for bad that you could literally probably spend a lifetime talking about them all. But what I want to do is at least help us to get start diving into some of these, and you may discover your own ways in which you're stuck, right? But I'm going to talk about some that came to mind, some that I've experienced, some that I've seen other individuals experience. Okay, and so these are some of the way, and I'm going to do a part two to this where I'll talk a little bit about how we can maybe get unstuck. All right, but ways that can leave us or symptoms of us being stuck or the way being stuck shows up in our life. And so one of the things that I show that, or at least the thing that I started with, is for some folks is you're unmotivated completely. Okay, so that means that you're not even interested in taking a step. And maybe I'm not a therapist, okay? So maybe for you, you may not even need necessarily a life coach at this point in time. You may need to go and actually seek, real professionally licensed therapy to deal with or counseling, psychiatry, what have you, because you may need to deal with some deeper things. You may not necessarily be ready to start taking steps forward per se. You may need to or you may need to look in the rearview mirror a little bit, reflect on some of the things that have caused you to be unmotivated. Now, when I say unmotivated, I'm not making unmotivated and depression interchangeable, okay? But oftentimes somebody who is maybe in a depressed state can be unmotivated. But then you have some individuals who they're not depressed or anything like that. They're just not motivated for much more beyond where they already are. And so that's, for some folks, that's okay, right? For some folks, they're in a decent place in life. They have what they need. Their expectations have been met. They feel like they've actually achieved the things that they wanted to achieve, and they're living the life that they want to live. That's perfectly fine. But then there are those of us who are like, I think that there's more in me, but for some reason, I'm just not interested currently in tapping into it. And but yet at the same time, I believe that I probably should be tapping into it. Right? I'm just not motivated. Okay. Then you have another way that it shows up for us, and for some of us, it shows up as what I call, you're motivated, but you're unsure. So this is the person who's like, you don't need to be motivated. And there was a point in time where I realized that, oh snap, my problem isn't a motivation problem. I like to describe it as a car, as a matter of fact, right? You have some cars where the engine, the power, the motor, right, the motivation is completely out. The engine is shot. But then you have other cars that are, the engine is good, right? The engine can rev, the horsepower is there, right? It doesn't need more. It's a 500 horsepower engine. But the problem is, right, that engine is stuck in, or the transmission is stuck in neutral, right? Or maybe you've tried putting the transmission in gear. For some reason, there's a disconnect between the engine and the transmission, and therefore all the way down to the to the wheels and the rubber hitting the road. That can't even happen because even though there's power in the engine, there's a disconnect between the engine and the transmission, right? And what does a transmission do? A transmission transmits the energy of the engine into actual motion. Come on, man. Come on, y'all. That was fire, right? Thank you, Lord, for sending me that. Right. And so for some folks, the power is there, right? The energy, you're energized, but you don't know how to connect it to the transmission, right? And is the transmission even the right transmit? Like the transmission has to be built to handle the power that is getting ready to take on from the engine. So, kind of what I mean by that is, how do I decide where to put my energy, right? What career should I pursue? What hobby, project, what interest should I pursue? Okay. What is the best use of my energy? So those questions keep a lot of people stuck. Then we could talk about wasted motion. So now you have individuals, let's keep that car analogy going, right? My engine might be working, it might be connecting very well to the transmission, but I might be in a state of what I call coasting, right? Or wasted motion, or the hamster wheel. So oftentimes we think about a hamster wheel. We can think about, seeing a hamster at literally running in a wheel, but we don't actually go to real life instances where we've been on a hamster wheel, not in a motivational sense, but in other senses, right? So think about it. If you've ever had your car stuck in snow, or if you've ever been in mud and seen your car or somebody else's car stuck in mud, these are vehicles where the engine is working, the engine is connecting properly to the transmission. The transmission is transmitting, that power all the way down to the wheels, and the wheels are turning. Okay. The car is doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. But maybe the wheels, maybe you're just in a state of constant motion. You're on a highway. You're just going. You have it in cruise control. Okay. So you're not experiencing the full power of the of the car, right? You're not actually able to be nimble because you're just on cruise control. And for some people, again, they're fine with cruise control because they're not necessarily looking for anything else. But for some folks, you're in cruise control and you're getting ready to crash because you're not looking at maybe a traffic jam coming up ahead of you, and so you're not in a position. You're not paying attention for yourself to adjust, right? Or for some other folks, you're not experiencing the full power of what the engine can do because you have it in cruise control, but you're not the one that's really in control. You're not stepping on the gas where you can step on the gas and really see what the power of that car can do, if you have the right car, of course, right? But then for others, your car is stuck in the mud or stuck in the snow. You're trying to get it up. You're maybe even revving up or what have you, but you're not actually gaining any ground on what it is that you're trying to achieve. And so those are some of the ways that we can be stuck. There's been times where, for me, I've been motivated, I've put in work, but I haven't been seeing, I didn't see the results that I was looking for out of that, where I didn't see myself being able to actually move things forward. And so it becomes, what is the mud that I'm stuck in? What is the snow that I'm stuck in? Do I have everything else about the car's right, but are the tires right? Are the tires able to grip, in the scenario that I'm in? Or am I stuck on cruise control and not even aware that there's more power that I could be tapping into, but I'm stuck on cruise control and just not even aware of it, right? I'm coasting. So those are some of the ways in which we can be stuck, and just being aware of that in and of itself can be helpful, because as soon as we're aware of it, then we can start thinking a bit more clearly about, well, how do I get myself out of these situations? What needs to change for me to start gaining ground? Okay. Peace.